superintendent and maybe an assistant superintendent to start in a large district. This is a small district. You need to be that. And we already talked about that, but you're not. So what inspired you to want to do this job in this district that you got two goals for, and one of them you're not apparently feeling like you're the strongest in instructional leadership? That was one of your goals, one of your two. The other one was finance and budget, and I hear you're working hard on that. But why did you want to do this job in a small district where you're expected to be the instructional leader knowing about student learning?
Yeah. So I'm going to push back just a little bit, and it's respectful, but I'm going to push back just a little bit. I think one of the qualities of good leadership is recognizing where your faults are. Right? I think acknowledging where you can't do things, and then trying to surround yourself with people who can to make up the difference. And that's because I recognize that in myself. That's why I'm trying to bring the sort of people that I am. And the reason that I applied for this district is because I saw, frankly, I saw some pretty structural problems. And I felt that it was an opportunity for me to demonstrate that my view on how education and work actually works. We'll see if I'm right or not. I mean, I could be dead wrong, but I'm willing to give it a try. Well, our kids have already been at risk. We had a 63% graduation rate last year. So we have a lot of room for growth. And to me, it seems like it would be reasonable to try to do something different. And I'm going to approach this very differently. I think, and I appreciate that some of you don't understand or don't agree with the analogy that I'm going to use, and that's fine. But there are several charter schools in the state of Idaho who are run. And by the way, they have to be the instructional leaders of they're much like a small school. So they have to be the instructional leaders of their staff that have to do all things, right? And some of them, and I recognize they have a different student population sometimes than others. But they also manage to be successful, even some of them with difficult student body populations.
It sounds like you want us to become a charter district.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, well then let me make sure that I dispel that. That's not what I want. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to do is dispel the myth that's being promoted that if you don't have all these other things going on, you can't do this job. And that's just not true. For some reason, the state of Idaho decided to allow charter administrators to serve in that position without even the training that I have. Right? They can do that. And we've seen. But charter schools are public schools too. It doesn't. The fact remains that we're still paying taxpayer dollars to those schools. Some of them are. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Elevated Cappy down in Caldwell has over 3/4 of their student body is at-risk students.
We're not as demographics that they are down there either. Our demographics up here is a whole lot different than anything down in the area. We have children that are in need. And you're they're not going to fulfill that. Don't tell me they are.
Okay.
I don't know why you keep talking about charter, because that's more about the school.
The reason, let me address that real quick, Whitney. Let me answer why. Because I think that it's frankly silly that we have a policy decision that was made in the state to treat some public school students differently than other public school students.
Is that how your board feels?
I don't know, I haven't asked them.
Okay, but they're in charge, right?
They are the fiduciary agents of this district.
It seems odd to me that you don't know what your board thinks. It just turns me on.
Here's a little bit. Earlier when you were
talking about the junior high, I just want to preface that our community is very well aware of what that building means and what it is. I promise you, we are not attached to it as a building. We're attached to the fact that it's a public school and a place for our 7th and 8th graders to go. We're very worried what that means, putting portables to high school, having 13-year-old girls and 18-year-old boys. There's a lot of like logistics where we're going to put children. So that leads into my question about, you said you met with the transportation department. So my first question is, who did you meet with? Because I know that a lot of our bus drivers were not included in that. And secondly, do you have any intention of selling our buses? That is in the rumor mill, so I just wanted to clear that up.
So when I met with the transportation department, I met with Virginia. What's Virginia's last name? Overland. I met with Virginia, and I also met with Charity. I don't know if she's at Henshaw. And I met with both of them. Charity currently has kind of stepped into the trainer role, and we were having strategic level discussions, and so I didn't think it was appropriate to include our bus drivers in that conversation. In terms of selling our buses, that's not my decision to make. That is, I will tell you there's been a lot of frustration on my end. I'll be really candid. It's been really frustrating. We haven't been able to hire a mechanic. I thought we had a candidate, and he wants $65,000 a year to be a mechanic in this district. That would be, we're already.
You want 120? So 60 is too much, like 120 is not?
So,
Give your answer.
no, so that's a good question. Can we address that? Can we address that real quick? So let's do apples to apples comparisons. Our pay rate for that bus driver, the one that we proposed, the last offer we gave to him, would have been more than Lake Ponderay is paying their head mechanic. Okay? More than Lake Ponderay is paying their head mechanic. That wasn't enough for him. If we compare my salary with any number of administrators at Lake Ponderay, I'm making less. So
statements on, I've been meeting with these people, I've been researching this, I'm doing these structural deep dives on fixing things, yet, what are they? I mean, one minute you are totally into it, know everybody, and the next minute you don't really know anybody. So what are the structural dives you've been doing?
I don't know. I don't want to be redundant. I've already answered that question more than once. But I've met with every department head that was available to meet with me. I've met with many of their staff. I've met with the building principals that were available to meet with me. I'm going to get the last one that I haven't met one with tomorrow. You know, we're doing the kind of things that I think a good superintendent should do when they take over a district, which is to help look at what's working, what's not, and analyze things from the bottom up. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so this might be, sorry. So I'm a little worried that you are the board's puppet. I'm also a little worried that you are the IFS puppet. Because of Stacy here, who has been to all of the rallies and the one at the Trinity Baptist Church. I want to know where you stand on the separation of church and state.
I guess I said anything goes, so I'll answer the question. I'll start with the assumptions. I'm not anybody's puppet. I never have been. And anybody that knows me knows that that's a silly thing to say, but I appreciate from a public perception that might be some of the things.
It's the board, because you're only talking for the board. And again, because of their private, security and their private photographer here, it's like you're only, so we have for them, he's saying, they're saying what you're trying to say.
So let me just be clear, I'm not anybody's puppet, but let me get to your broader question. I'm gonna try to limit my remarks on this comment for just to not very long. But I'm now not speaking on behalf of the district as the superintendent. I'm talking about my own personal opinion. So I just want to make sure that's crystal clear. The separation of church and state is a myth. It has been a myth. It's a legal fiction. And our U.S. Supreme Court has had the wisdom in the last 3 terms to recognize that very thing. And I will never apologize for my position that this country was founded with religious principles in mind and with religious principles as its foundation.
As a Christian?
Yes, Judeo-Christian nation. And I believe that 100%, and I can point out all sorts of scholarly literature that supports that perspective. And that's what I personally believe, and I won't separate myself from that position, and if I ever do, then I'm lying to you.
So how does that affect your job?
It doesn't, I'm working for a public school district. But to the extent that we will not infringe people's right to their religious expression, that is what I will always support. And you know, you go look at the case out of Washington State, right? If we have coaches that want to pray at halftime or at the end of the game at midfield, they will have my 100% blessing, and I'll probably go join them. And I'm not going to step back. That's correct. Absolutely. They all have the same right. Nobody's rights are different than others when it comes to religious expression.
So if it is going to get not paid, besides doing it, not really not stand out there and say that the coach is.
This issue's already been litigated in my side one.
Your side was yeah, no, what's your side?
My side is decided that people have the right to my side says that gender is religious expression.
Christian nationalist? Yep. But I'm asking you, what you're trying to tell me.
Can I just make a comment on something you said earlier? You just stated that kids with special needs are a problem for this district, which let me tell you, that's my son. Now, I understand what you were trying to say about the test scores, but Mr. Durst, I can assure you, my child is not the problem. My son is a very bright individual, and his test scores are not everything. I own 2 very successful businesses, and I can assure you that my test scores were the problem when I was in school. You also stated during the superintendent debate that we were not advocates for our children, but I can assure you right now I'm standing here as an advocate for my son.
Okay, well, if that's what I said, I didn't, that message was not communicated the way that I intended it to be. And if my words were inartful, what I was trying to say was the students who struggle, which by the way, I have one of those too.
I get what you were trying to say, but you're saying you were trying to bring us together, and when you use words like that, it is extremely hurtful. And you were separating us further than you think you are.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
That's fair. Thank you for that feedback.
I understand that your belief is that the separation of church and state is a myth, which it is in the Constitution, but you are saying that, you know, coaches, maybe teachers have the right to religious expression. What about the teachers who are inclusive of all genders, all sexual orientations, non-binary students? Currently we have an ex-teacher who is being bullied online for having a rainbow, boho rainbow, not even all colors, sign in her classroom that says, quote, "We are better together." And people are bullying her online, saying that is something about indoctrinating children to be gay. What about the gay students? What about the gay parents? What about the trans students? What about the trans parents? How do you plan on combating really that horrible mockery that people are making? You say you have the right to religious expression. What about the right to being yourself? And there are students who need to be themselves in order to literally survive. We have a high suicide rate in Priest River. What about those students who need to be themselves to survive?
Students have the right to an education in the state of Idaho, and this district will make sure that it provides that opportunity to every student without exception. In the same way that a teacher would not be allowed to fly a Christian flag and Christian cross flag in their classroom. In the same way, teachers aren't allowed to fly other flags that express some sort of political or religious perspective. Same thing. Same thing. That's, I don't know the nexus of that was. I can, when I look at that rainbow, I see that my vision of that rainbow is very similar. Well, then you show me what it was. So here's the thing. We're going to make sure that every child has the opportunity to have access to an education, which is our state constitutional responsibility. We're going to do that. To the extent that students want to feel one way or another, that's their prerogative. The district needs to get out of the social engineering business and back into the education business. Just so you know, we've had a lot of folks asking the same questions. If others have questions, feel free to ask. We've got about a half hour left. I want to make sure that if you have questions you haven't asked, you have to feel free to.
I can wait.
Go, Tom. Go, Tom.
The quantum learning is implemented during the 23-24 school year. What will it cost the district to implement it, and where is the money coming from?
So the answer to the first question is, I've already said it is yes. We've already got the training planned out. Our building administrators know what the schedule is for that. In terms of the cost, that I'm not actually sure about, to be honest, but it's part of my contract that we implement the 5-year plan, and quantum learning is a part of the 5-year plan. So we'll figure that out, where the money's going to come from for that, but I have to do it because it's part of my contract to implement it, and so we'll make it work.
Shout out to Casey Tribunal. The board expressed the need. The board expressed the need for an attorney to address the forensic audit and to negotiate the contract. Can you shed any light on why they had reached out to Boise for a charter school specialist to be that attorney?
I actually don't know. The honest answer is that I wasn't employed with the district at that point, so I don't know what happened before I got hired.